Thanks for joining me for our book tasting today. The Land of Stories, The Enchantress Returns, a book by Chris Colfer. Chapter 1, A Train of Thoughts. The subtle jerk of the train rocked Alex Bailey awake. She looked at the empty seats around her while she remembered where she was. A long sigh came out of the 13-year-old girl, and she neatly fixed a strand of strawberry blonde hair that had escaped her headband. "Not again," she whispered in public. Alex hated dozing off in public places. She was a very smart and serious young woman and never wanted to give the wrong impression. Luckily for her, she was one of only a few people on the 5 o'clock train back into town, so her secret was safe. Alex was an exceptionally bright student and always had been in the past. In fact, she was so advanced that she was part of the honor program, and that allowed her to take an additional class at the community college in the next town. Since she was too young to drive and her mother worked the majority of the day at a children's hospital, every Thursday after school, Alex would ride her bike to the main entrance and train station and travel the short distance into the next town for her classes. It was a questionable trip for a young girl to make by herself, and her mother had had reservations at first, but she knew Alex could handle it. This short journey was nothing compared to the things Alex had handled in the past. Alex loved being part of the honors program. For the first time, she was able to learn about art and history and other languages in an environment where everyone wanted to be there. When her professors asked questions, Alex was always one of the people who raised her hands. Another perk of the train ride was the downtime. Alex got to herself. She would gaze out the window and let her thoughts wander while the train traveled. It was the most relaxing part of her day, and many times she'd find herself drifting off to sleep. But only on rare occasions like today would she accidentally drift off completely. Normally she would wake feeling embarrassed, but this time her embarrassment was laced with annoyance. She had just had the most disheartening dream, a dream she had had many times in the last year. She dreamed she was running barefoot in a beautiful forest with her twin brother, Connor. "I'll race you to the cottage," Connor said with a huge smile. He stared at his sister's look, but thanks to a recent growth spurt, was now a few inches taller than her. "You're on," Alex said with a laugh, and the race began. They chased each other through the trees and over grassy fields without a care in the world. There were no trolls or wolves or evil queens for them to worry about, because wherever Alex and Connor were, they knew they were safe. Eventually, a small cottage came into view, and the twins bolted toward it, pulling all their energy into one final sprint. "I win," Alex declared when they both got to the open palm door that touched the front, a millisecond before her brother. "Not fair. Your feet are flatter than mine." Alex giggled and tried opening the door, but it was locked and no one answered. "That's funny. Grandma knew we were coming to visit. I wonder why she locked the door." She and her brother peered into the window. They could see their grandmother inside, sitting in a rocking chair near the fireplace. She seemed sad and slowly rocked back and forth. "Grandma, we're here," Alex said, rapping on the window. "Open the door." But Grandma didn't move. "Grandma, it's us. We want to visit." Her grandmother raised her head slightly and looked up at them through the window, but remained seated. "Let us in," Alex said, tapping on the glass even harder. Connor shook his head. "It's no use, Alex. We can't go in." He turned away and headed back in the direction that they came. "Connor, don't walk away," Alex said. "Why bother? She clearly doesn't want us here." Alex began banging on the window as loud as possible without breaking it. "Grandma, please let us in. We want to come inside, please." Grandma looked up at her with a blank stare. "Grandma, I don't know what I did wrong, but whatever it is, I'm sorry. Please let me come back inside." Alex said as the tears began to fall down her face. I want to come in. I want to come in. Grandma looked up at her with a blank stare. The plain expression turned into a frown, and she shook her head. Alex realized she was not going to be let in. And every time she came to this realization in her dream, she would wake up. It might not have been a pleasant dream, but it had felt so good to be back in the forest and to see her grandmother's face again. It was obvious to her what the dream represented, and had been since the first time she'd dreamed it. However, Alex felt something different when she awoke this time. She couldn't help but feel as if someone had been touching her while she was sleeping. When she had first woken, although she hadn't paid much attention to it, she could have sworn she saw her grandmother sitting across from her on the train. Was this an actual sighting or just her imagination getting the best of her? Alex couldn't deny the possibility that it had become real. Her grandmother was capable of many things. And that is the end of chapter 1. Okay, so this book is called The Land of Stories, Enchantress Returns by Chris Colfer. Quite an intriguing book. So stop by the library and check it out so you can finish reading this great book. And that was just one more book tasting here from the Alexander Hamilton Memorial Free Library. Have a great day.